Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome to another Paragon video. So you guys know me pretty well at this point in terms of Paragon. You know that I criticize it a lot and I like to suggest changes to the game that would ultimately, in my eyes, make it better. Well, there's one aspect of the game that just hasn't gotten a lot of love lately, and that would be the cards. Not really the card system per se, but just the cards themselves. A lot of them are redundant, a lot of them are uninteresting, not very powerful, bland, and so on and so forth. So starting with this video, I took it upon myself to take up the fun and interesting challenge of creating new cards for Paragon of varying different types, qualities, rarities, and functions in an effort to make the game better through means of expanded choice, variety, and just plain fun. And even though I like coming up with new equipment cards to show off and spark discussion, I also want to make sure that whatever I do come up with is as balanced as possible. I'm not the best person for balancing, so like I said, it's been a challenge. So I hope you enjoy what I came up with, and we'll hopefully have a discussion about it. Moving on to the first card, I call it Marauder's Chill. I'm not the best at naming things, so if you have any constructive criticism, feel free. But the rarity of this card would be rare. It will cost 7 CP. Now, this card is, and this is a new thing, this is a dual affinity card. So, like Heroes, this card can be used by 2 different affinities. So, Fury and Order. It has a unique passive, slows max movement speed by 5% on each basic attack hit, stacking up to 25%. It comes with plus 6.5 power and plus 5.5 attack speed, and in total has 3 upgrade slots. I personally always wanted to see a card like this in Paragon, and I know other games like Dota and League of Legends have similar cards that apply some kind of slow on basic attack, and I really love that, especially with Monolith introducing this very severe mechanic of movement speed differential between running away and attacking. Moving right along to card number 2, this one is called Lane Reinforcement. Its rarity is uncommon, it costs 6 CP, and is of the Universal Affinity. Now this has a unique active, and you'll know what I'm talking about here. So, from Lane Inhibitor, you teleport to the friendly minion farthest from the inhibitor in that same lane, on a 240 second cooldown. So, while you're standing in the inhibitor zone, you can look ahead, down the lane, and use the card, and you'll teleport to the minion that is farthest from you. However, you can't teleport to friendly minions inside the enemy base. That would be a little bit too overpowered in my opinion. And once the inhibitor goes down, you will no longer be able to use this card in that particular lane that has the downed inhibitor. You'll have to move to a different lane that has a live inhibitor up and running. I find cards like these, or items like these in other MOBAs, teleports, are quite essential to the overall mechanic, and I like the idea. And this card does not offer any particular upgrades aside from the utility of it allowing you to teleport. I find that it would be useful in all stages of the game, early, mid, and end game, and since it has a recently high cost, you're going to be sacrificing some stats for overall utility and strategic positioning. So say you find a bunch of enemies on the right side of the map, and they left the left tower open, and there's a minion wave pushing up. Bam, you can teleport to it, take advantage of their mistake, and punish them for it far more effectively than just running over there. And since the rotation speed is so high, they can reach the opposite lane in like less than 20 seconds. So yeah, this card kind of fixes that whole problem with super high rotation speeds and not being able to punish enemy players for leaving their lanes. Card number 3 is close to my heart. This one is called Tome of Power, and it's meant for mages. Its rarity is rare. It costs 4 CP, and it is also another dual affinity card, so intelligence and corruption. It's going to be meant for mages mainly. It has a unique passive where you gain 1 stack of power, 6.5, and 1 stack of mana, 30, on an assist, and 2 stacks on a kill. In total, this stacks up to 10 times. However, you remove half of all stacks upon death. This is essentially a carbon copy from similar items in other MOBAs, but I felt that it would be greatly needed, greatly appreciated in a game like Paragon, especially in Monolith, when kills and assists are so very rampant and really all over the game at all stages of the game. So if you play smart and you play well, for 4 CP, you're giving up a little early game immediate power for a lot of potential down the road if you're able to secure those kills and assists. You just have to make sure you don't die, which rewards high skill play, rewards positioning, and would be useful to a variety of casters and even some fighters in the early to mid stages of the game. Card number 4. This one is called Stalwart Retaliation. Its rarity is Epic Rare, and it costs 5 CP. This card is a single affinity and is growth. It has a unique toggle, so the second toggle card in Paragon, as of right now anyway. So what it does is you instantly toggle between reflecting 20% basic attack damage or 15% ability damage before resistances. This card also has 3 upgrade slots and gives you 50 health upon buying. Paragon has been lacking some kind of Thorn mechanic for a long time now, and this is why I made this particular card. However, I'm not entirely sure if it should be growth only. Maybe I could make it dual affinity or even universal, because I like the idea of most, if not all, tanks to be able to use something like this and really do a good job of using their role to its strengths, building those defenses up, and being able to counter with a card like this in not such an overpowered manner, but if played smartly and toggled correctly at the right moment, you know, you could do some pretty good counter damage to whoever's attacking you. Say a Murdoch that's critting you for 700 damage before your resistances kick in, bam, he's taking like 200 damage a shot himself. And I don't know, I really like that idea, and it doesn't seem too overpowered in my opinion. And finally, we come to the 5th and final card. Now this one is special. This is completely unlike really any other card in the game because it can only be used by one hero. Now, what it is what I call an ability morph card. This is a card that preferably I would love to be able to use in the same way that you pick a skin before you go into a match. You would pick an ability morph card to permanently alter your character for that match. So let me explain what this card exactly is. This card is called Rupture Shield, and it is a replacement for Grimex's Displacement or Deflector Shield. So Rupture Shield here has a rarity of Epic Rare, and it costs 0 CP because the idea is that you would be able to slot it in, you know, when you're picking your skins, like in that same menu kinda. But if for whatever reason they did bring it in game, then yeah, it would just be like a free alternate because it has both downsides and upsides to it. So it's an ability morph card. It has a unique passive that becomes stronger as Deflector Shield is leveled. Much like leveling the skill itself, essentially the card itself changes the skill. So here's what the unique passive is. It morphs Grimex's Deflector Shield into Rupture Shield. So instead of absorbing the ability for mana, it instead reflects the ability back to the attacker for 50%, 65%, 80%, and 100% of abilities damage. So every time you level, you get 15% more damage reflected up to 100% at the at level 4. And maybe we could tone that down to like 90s or something, but however, if the ability that you are reflecting is a single tick damage over time, then it will just be that single tick that is reflected. Now, since this card is essentially free and changes up your ability to be maybe a little bit better in some ways and worse in others, this card has both positives and negatives to it in terms of stats. It lowers your maximum health as Grim by 100, raises your maximum mana by 50, raises your maximum mana regen by 0.5 a second, or whatever the rate is, and increases the cooldown of Deflector Shield by 5 seconds. So I kind of introduced these countermeasures to make sure that this ability morph isn't too strong, and because you have extra damage, I thought decreasing your survivability would be a good idea to compensate, and since you're getting rid of your only ability to regenerate mana, giving yourself a little bit extra mana and a tiny bit more mana regen, I feel would kind of perfectly counter that. And since the skill itself, Deflector Shield, has been morphed to be a little bit more stronger, a little bit more damage oriented, increasing the cooldown just kind of made sense. In my eyes, in a perfect world, Paragon would have 2 to 3 different ability morph cards per hero, maybe even one ability morph card for the ultimates of every hero. Man, that would just be so cool. Every time you go into a game, not knowing how the enemies have changed up their characters with these ability morph cards, or synchronizing different ability morph cards on your own team prior, so that it's not just about team comp and who you pick, it's about how you spec your character and subtly changing them to maybe work better in some ways where normally they wouldn't, which would have the very positive effect of increasing the available pool of heroes that are actually viable in Monolith, because right now there are some heroes that just aren't as viable as others, and with this kind of introduction into the game, depending on how the skills were actually changed, they'd be more viable, and that's awesome to me, because we need more heroes that are viable, we need more combinations, more variety. And that wraps it up, folks. That's 5 new cards that I created for this video to basically help increase the pool of interesting and fun cards to mess with in Paragon. And I really enjoyed making this video, far more than I thought that I would. I would like to make more, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you hit that like button, especially if you want to see more. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, definitely hit that like button. Especially because I want you guys to go into the comments down below and create cards of your own in a similar format that I created mine. So name, rarity, affinity or affinities, unique passive, as well as whatever stats you want to put on it, and make sure they're balanced. And the most interesting and balanced card that I find in the comments, I will feature in my next video of this series. So yeah, I think that's kind of cool, and I'd love to do that. So get to it, guys. And if you're not yet a subscriber, then hitting that subscribe button right now and the notification button so you never miss one of my videos would be an excellently smart idea. You'd be the smartest person I would know if you did that, because you don't want to miss these videos that I pump out every 2 days. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave any constructive criticism in the comments down below, along with your ideas for your own card submission that I will feature in the next video of this series. So, again, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.